What was the role of the past played in the present? So I was interested in what role narratives of past displacement and violence play in the present among areas and among communities affected by conflict. This was my question. I get to Jammu, and my first visit in 2005, and after that I was in Jammu continuously from 2005 to 2007, and then sporadic visits from time to time, primarily in Jammu, occasionally to Srinagar as well. Now, the problem was, when I got to the field, one of the things I learned was that my research proposal was a load of nonsense. I realized I was completely unprepared, because whatever I knew sitting in a university library did not prepare me for the actual state. And of course, that's again the thing I've often found. I mean, I think there are some people from Jammu Kashmir here. So again, one of the puzzles everyone would ask me, for example, oh, you're in Jammu, lovely weather, it must be snowing. I said, no, it's 47 degrees. It's the same weather as Delhi, but nobody warns you about it. Nobody warns you about it. And, you know, things like that. So, again, how's your Kashmiri? And I said, well, I'm from Jammu, they're all Dogra. So, again, nobody tells you really that. But what happened was the field disrupted my questions. Because when I got there, nobody wanted to really talk about memory. So I had questionnaires set up, okay, memory. What was the past? Tell me about the past. Oh yeah, you want to know the past? You can read Walter Lawrence, Freedom Kashmir, but we don't want to talk about the past, you know. And one of the reasons, theoretically, was time. Because I was looking at people who left in 1990, when I first got there in 2005. 15 years is not a long time to process memory at first. Now there's a different story coming out. Two, most of my respondents, most of the Kashmiri pundits, and I met most of the ones in the camp, so I was looking at the poor end of the Kashmiri pundits community in Jammu. They're not a homogeneous community. You had well-to-do pundits, you had not so well-to-do pundits. I have pundits in a camp, before. Many of them often would not have a full school education. They may have worked in the PWD department in Kashmir, but they would say we are Nehru's people, but they're not Nehru, right? So the people I looked at would not be elites, by any means. You want that, you go to the elites ended up in India. What they wanted to talk about, rather, was the general sense of anger, despair, because these camps are not pleasant places. You were in a 9x14 room, you have 10 rooms, that's 46 degrees. You were looking at men who have not worked from 1990 onwards. They weren't sure what they were doing. They weren't sure what to do. They weren't sure where they lay politically. Many of the people I knew. People would talk about organizations like, let's say, Bangladesh and so on, but in the camps, in the end of the day, what people were concerned with was, where am I going to eat? What am I going to get? Can I educate my children? And the main conversation they wanted to talk about was relief. So in the beginning, actually, people would ask me, are you a relief worker? Can you get me relief? I'm like, no, I'm a PhD student. I know nothing of the sort. I'm in the media. And I said, no. Okay, then we won't talk to you now. We'll talk to you later. Media means I get you to print out the next day. Now, so these are two things. Time, the fact that my respondents had other issues. Now, does that mean I disregard their issues? No. Does that mean, because there is a sense, right? I came with these questions I were asked. Now, one option is I still want to explore my questions, but then the other order is maybe my questions were something that were not of interest to people. I mean, we think of our projects away from the field to some extent. In my case, that was clearly the case. In fact, how I even arrived at my research was in a way a very roundabout process, and that's a story for another time. But then I realized I had to readjust my questions. I mean, I gradually was able to engage in questions of memory, experiences of migration movement, but those were questions I could ask over time once I built trust with my respondents. It wasn't a question I could ask immediately. Because the other problem, which I also realized, was by then, and my respondents felt they were saturated. They had tons of people coming in and asking them questions, reporters, academics, and so on. And they said we got nothing out of it. And that again complicates the process of asking questions. So one of the problems we often have in research is we have a kind of fly-by-wire approach. I come in for 5 days, I bombard questionnaires, and then I leave. The fact of the matter is when people respond to your questions, you are an intrusion on their time. I mean, they could have been doing nothing. That's why, for example, if I was interested in studying automobile drivers, for him to take 1 hour out of his time to talk to me would mean 1 hour less of driving and making money. It's a very simple thing. And it's something I do respect. The third point that also affected the questions I was asking was the overwhelming nature of the present, which is why research contexts matter. For example, one of the problems, and this is an impression I have, when we look at what we consider, when one looks at reportages of Kashmir, it's this conversation on normalcy has arrived and we have post-conflict or reconciliation. The problem is that the conflict is still ongoing. You have an overwhelming present. This is a point that's often made by a lot of people I know who work in Kashmir, doing research in the Kashmir Valley and areas around, where the present is overwhelming. You may have had something in the past, but I just need something to happen right now, to come up. And even for these Kashmiri pundits, especially once I looked at the camps were in operation from 1990 to 2011. So in a strange way, the camps became townships, they became settlements. They used to say this is like a town, and it's true, it actually felt like a town. You had a road, you had a market, you had a temple, people knew each other. And then in 2011, the government of India says we will shut down the camp and we'll make a single township called Jafti, right next to, I think the headquarters of the Indian Army 16th Corps. When I went to that township, a friend of mine who lives there was pointing out, that's the ammunition dump, so if it blows up, we're all out. That's a joke. They do have an interesting sense of humor. But imagine how disruptive that is. So just when I built a history and a past of the camp, even I was looking at it from the point of view like local histories. It's gone. My friend went recently in March and I was walking past this friend of mine who's taking to see a relative. We were walking past. Can you recognize this area? I said no. I'm seeing a lot of construction by a Jammu Development Authority, apartment buildings, so I'm trying to see that. And then I realized, wait a minute, I'm walking through Murti camp. I said, yeah. The camp's gone, and now you're getting all this real estate for new construction. So, what happens when the present overwhelms? What happens when the questions go? For example, I grew up on a camp, and the only thing I'll tell people now is, the camp's gone. And when I met a very senior scholar who was one of the first anthropologists to work on Kashmir, he and mother, who did his work in a village called Openended. He kind of said, my ethnography is not an ethnography, it really is a history. It's set in the 1950s, and it's all property. So, it's all history. So, the concern I have here is that when we go to the field, what do we do when we go to the field? Question pushing our agendas wrong, or that the questions we're going to ask are not going to work. Now, some scholars have often pushed forth a question or a framework with the hope that the field will prove the main research framework. A perfect example of this, for those of you who come from, say, sociology and anthropology, is, or who study and engage with caste, is Louis Dumas' Homo hierarchicus. Homo hierarchicus is seen as a perfect example of French structuralism, and the critique of it is that he forced the data to prove the theory of caste. You could do that, but then we're not Louis Dumas. And this is a very French word. So my suggestion would be, first of all, and which I learned, to let the field speak to you. What is important is to see how we revise our questions in light of the field. Let the field speak. Get a sense of the field. Get a sense of the context. Because when we are now going to start asking questions, we're not asking questions in a vacuum. We're not asking questions from, talking heads. We're asking questions of real life people. And it makes a huge difference. I would be looking at, and one of the contexts of these questions they could take place in a camp. They could take place in a level of political uncertainty. And at the same time, let the field speak to you. When we interview people, when we have this imagination, when I'm going to interview you, it's going to be me. Let's say if I'm interviewing someone, me and person A. And we're in a room, and I'm going to ask questions, and person A will respond seriously. But most of the interviews happen in households in the camp. 9 by 14 group, entire family. So I might be interviewing, let's say, this elderly grandfather, who was one guy who could talk about memory. He could go back to, I think this is a family from Anantnag stroke Islamabad, South Kashmir. And I could interview him, but his daughter-in-law wants to watch TV. The neighbors come by to chit-chat. And you realize that's the real-life context of this question takes place. There are these two kids who played, and they saw me, they hadn't seen me before. So they sat down this one and said, okay, this is entertaining. There was no electricity, right? So the TV's not going to work, so this is entertaining. So in between, I'm asking questions, they start throwing in answers. Now, I can treat that as a disturbance, but I can also treat that as a way of texturing the interview. Like I said, we're looking at real life people in actual communities in the context they inhabit. That is actually the way you take these interviews. And at the same time, sometimes what is sensitive becomes very complicated. Now, the obvious kind of complication when one was working on, I guess, well, people from JK here, but if I was looking at anybody working, and you talk to any scholar working in JK, it's a sensitive issue. Anybody working in Kashmir, I won't even do down here. So even the pundits have their own controversies as well. But let's put it this way, I'm talking about migration displacement. But the story that's pressing, because one woman who lived alone in the camp was this. She was saying, well, you know, I'm looking forward when my son, he's got a job. He's going to call me and I will go. And I found out from other neighbors, the son's kind of gone off. He's left his mom in the camp. So this is a universal story to some extent. This is a story that could happen in Delhi. But it also gets colored by conflict. It's a different kind of controversy. Then I asked, I want to know more about the son. But then I realized, how do I ask questions in a way that also, to some extent, you don't want to break this lady's illusion. She's being looked after by neighbors, but so what do I do? Then I ask questions, but then the answers are volunteered by the neighbors once the interview's done. Yeah, the son, he got admission on a convent course. There's a quota of Kashmiri funded. Gets your management program, gets a job, moves to Germany, and it's been a while. He's been saying he wants to get it. So how does one look at different levels of sensitivity? Because, as I said, we're looking at ordinary people. This is the point even scholars like Veena Das have made when she was looking at the memories of women who survived the partition. I'm asking questions about the partition, as Veena Das writes. But a lot of these women were using motifs that were common to any family. They were using motifs of kinship. They weren't talking high politics. They weren't talking about Mountbatten or Nehru or Jinnah and so on. And a lot of my informants really wouldn't be talking about high politics that way, the people I looked at. But they would talk about, when families break up. When I'm waiting for my son. Or as someone said, like the language of partition, for example, was often one thought as a fight between two brothers. How do I adjust the questions according that tease out these elements? In the process, my research then gradually changed to the main research question, which was, first this, what role do narratives of past violence and displacement play in the present in areas and among communities affected by conflict? Two, how then it became, after spending some time in the field, how do communities affected by violence and conflict and displacement construct a sense of victimhood, which is really what I'm interested in. And as part of that, the ancillary question then becomes, what role does memory and nostalgia play in this? So these are some of the projects I was looking at. And at the end of the day, I did encounter a lot of conversations on nostalgia and memory in the past. But then what would happen is, I could ask them questions like, and these were open-ended questions, like, so, what was it like when you left? Like, what happened? What was the day? Describe the day. But then, very interestingly, I found that there was one problem. Because there was already a given narrative of the content exodus, and even when you use the term exodus, it's also very complicated. And of course, all major political crises have a given narrative, an official narrative, whether it's a state narrative, whether it's a narrative of political parties, whether this narrative gets repeated and repeated. I found that if I often spoke to leaders, I'd be getting the same narrative. I spoke to one leader, and Nina spoke to 15 leaders, which is why I often found talking to leaders tend to be amongst the most boring people to interview. Because it's the same thing. They're selling a point. And again, those narratives then become complicated for other reasons. The Pandit narrative, for example, recently, as everyone knows, it's a slightly complicated narrative in the public sense. So, after that, I found rather it was much more interesting to ask, can you tell me about your life? Or what would you be doing on this day? So one man who was in the camp where I worked in, and whose family came from Mumbai, would say, well, at this time it's 4 p.m., I would have been in my orchard, or I would have been in my office. Because again, these are ordinary people, these weren't politically connected people at all. They were 9-to-5ers. And then starts this entire, and that is what, by asking that question, what would you be doing at this time? That is what opened up a question of understanding normal life, and what he would actually be doing. I would be in my orchard, most probably my father would call me at this time, once in a while, and then special occasions would come up. So it wasn't even political special occasions. It would be, say, one of my neighbors and friends came, they talked about these gifts during festivals. This is how you can open it up. So I'm someone who's still, anyway, personally, I'm more open to the idea of open-ended questions anyway. Partly because the key thing about an interview is that you ask questions to get an answer, you need interviews, absolutely. And there are all kinds of interviews. Most of us would have faced it when we go for job interviews, right? Except there you're kind of nervous, like, okay, I hope I know the answer. But here, the whole point of you do research is to be able to understand. You need data, of course, I'm not denying, I'm all for data. But you want data which helps you understand the situation. And very often that understanding happens when you give the interview time and when you allow the interview, it's not like the interviewee or the person speaking to, it's not like it's responding and giving an answer, but it's rather sharing. So there's a process of sharing that comes out. So the next part I want to talk about is what I call when questions hit the field to it. Here I want to talk about some more pragmatic questions. Now, those of us who do any kind of research, we have different set of arsenals, right? When you go through a methods class, you have interviews, you have surveys. I'm not going to talk about that. Everyone has had to endure social research methods courses as students. And I was terrible in my methodology class, I have to admit. I was taught, again, I was supervised by men who said the best way to learn how to do research is to just do it. But they were all the view that the best way to learn how to swim is basically, we pick you up, we throw you in the deep end, either you sink or you swim. Again, I was taught by two wonderful men, but they were also cranky cantankerous men who were taught by someone who scolded them, and they said the best way to teach is by scolding. So, but anyway, it's fun. But they came from an older generation approaches. Now, if I look at interviews, and let's say I'll take surveys, for example, because most of us often encounter research questions and actual practice through surveys. Many of us have filled out survey sheets, if I'm not mistaken. Many of us have implemented surveys to some extent. Now, I mean, this is something I also owe my wife, Dr. Divya, who teaches at JU, and she's a quantitative sociologist. So she does massive scale surveys, like, dealing with NES data and so on. But, and we have a constant conversation about the survey is. And one thing she often emphasizes, because there's such a gap between quantitative and qualitative research, she's always very angry about that. And we have very interesting conversations. I'm coming from ethnography and qualitative and quantitative. As people joke, I bet you two have a lot of fights about research, but we agree a lot on some of these things. But one thing which Divya often emphasizes is that surveys are actually qualitative info. A survey is asking, what do you think about something? What do you do? This is qualitative, what I'm thinking. But it's data that's presented then in a quantifiable form. And the survey has an advantage of scaling up. As an ethnographer, I am maybe focused on one setting, one locality, one village, and in all practices, most ethnographers end up really working with 10 to 15 responses during that period. Surveys have an ability to give you a larger sense of scale. But that's the critical thing. They are qualitative information, if you ask about it. An opinion survey. What do you think about, when you go to a mall, there'll be the survey given, like, do you think the mall is good or bad? That is subjective. My answer is quantifiable, whether I think the mall is good or bad, or do I like it, yes or no, but to like something is a subjective sentiment. Or, why vote for a particular party? Like, why is the Gujarat election on? Will you vote for BJP? Well, technically you should like people, right? But let's say, would you vote for BJP or would you vote for Congress? Okay, fine, that is quantifiable. Okay, I vote BJP or I vote Congress. Why do you vote? Why vote BJP or I vote Congress? I mean, some people couldn't give a quantifiable answer. That was my grandmother. We asked her, like, who would you vote for in elections? And she said, I voted Congress. And why did you vote for Congress? And her only answer was, your grandfather voted Congress. So then, why would you vote for Congress? Your grandfather voted Congress. That's a quantifier, that is very clear. But then it tells more about gender relations in a certain generation. But if you think about it, even if I say why vote BJP or why vote Congress, these are subjective questions at the end of the day. Now, it is how I treat the response that matters. Either I can leave it blank, why vote BJP, why vote Congress, and I have 3 blank blanks on my survey sheet, and they will explain why. Maybe they believe in development, they brought seedlings to India apparently, with American registration. I vote Congress because Rahul Gandhi is a good-looking guy, and the comedian says he looks like a young Han Solo. Or I might seriously think, okay, they're for development, or they're for this, or whatever. That's blank. Or I can give multiple choices, where I determine like you vote, because based on a lot of political discourse, there are these planks, which all parties by the way claim, right? Every party claims they're all for development, each party claims they're all for equality, each party claims they're for harmony, and every party will claim that we're all for capital in a very interesting way. So you can give multiple choice responses. My favorite response usually is none of the above, because I find when I fill up forms, I end up saying none of the above, which is a bit of a problem. So the thing about surveys, of course, are that they are qualitative information at the end of the day. The other thing, though, critical to surveys, when I'm asking questions in surveys, is order. You have to have an order of questions. Question 1 should lead to question 2, question 3 should lead to question 4. For example, let's say I can't ask someone the first question in the form saying, you can't ask them, which brand of washing powder do you like, Surf, Excel, or Tide? Fine, that can be a question in a survey if I'm doing market research or even a sociological thing, right? But I can't make that question 1 and then make question 2 is name a brand. I can't do that. Rather, I should ask name a brand. I can't, there has to be an order for the questions to follow. I can't ask leading questions, which is, don't you think that this party should have done this? And these are your options. No. Don't you think this, so on and so forth. These are leading questions, and this is something that certainly when you do interviews, you want people to share. You can't influence an answer. Or you have, double barrel, what are considered double barrel questions. Don't you think, for example, don't you think corruption could be halted if you voted for the Anna movement? Which was actually a survey used at the height of the Anna Hazare movement. And I am sympathetic to anti-corruption movements, absolutely. But the survey sheets were methodologically wrong, which is circulating, right? Don't you think corruption can be stopped if you cut down the Hazare movement? So basically I'm leading people to say, yeah, I support Anna Hazare. That shouldn't be the case. Now the question is, do you think there is corruption? Where do you think there is corruption? And what other methods you can use? Again, that's an order. The other thing is also about precision. You have to be precise in the question you should ask. The question shouldn't be great. First of all. There has to be a preciseness to the question. You can't have grades also. Though we are in a world where a lot of social and political situations, the response, it's a great world we live in, increasingly. The other thing I do want to also consider here when we pose the question, it's not only just about grayness, it's also about the appropriateness of some surveys. And this is something a friend of mine, Prabhat Chakrabarty, teaches at Azim. She does a lot of work on domestic violence and sexual violence. And her own research was in Islam and Bombay. And she said there was a research group that wanted to look at domestic violence, absolutely, and domestic and sexual violence. The problem, however, is that they just took an existing American survey sheet and looked at it in this neighborhood. They just directly translated it into Hindi and Marathi. And the problem, however, was many of those questions which were framed originally in an American context will not apply to the context of Islam in Bombay. And the process, some of the questions, see, when you do a large-scale survey, you hire assistants or people who will implement questions, right? The problem here is, she said that some of the people taking the surveys were kicked out of these homes in the slum because the questions are actually deemed very inappropriate. They were offensive. So when you also frame a survey, it has to be in a certain sense of appropriate.